Hello, everyone. I'm John Higgins, contributing writer to Film and TV Now, and I'm delighted to welcome one and all to this interview special with actress Gina Jones. She's
Hi.
raised in Brentwood, Essex. She comes from a British, South American, Caribbean background and had an early interest in acting and dance. She performed at the Edinburgh Film Festival, studied with the Young Actors Theatre Company, and trained in the Meisner Technique at the Impulse Company in London. She has the lead role in the new film called The Sun Also Rises. And she's a film, theatre, and TV credits include Beautiful Devils, Alley Cats, Harry Brown, Antigone, and The Taming of the Shrew. Gina, a good warm welcome to you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. We've got to start by talking about your background and training. I mean, you trained in the Meisner Technique, which is something that people like Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman trained in. And what benefits does learning this particular discipline bring to your acting?
Well, it was actually a former agent that recommended me to the technique. And at the time, I'd never heard of it. You know, you're always told about the method and Stanislavski. So I went to my first class kind of with no expectations about what it was going to be like. And it was the best thing I ever discovered because it was just so freeing. And I studied with an amazing man called Scott Williams. And he creates this environment where it's safe to try stuff. A lot of the other training I'd had, they'd really try and, knock you down. But with Scott, it was such a good environment for me because I'm actually really shy. So to be with the Meisner Technique, it just allows you to act on your impulses and just respond truthfully, like we do in everyday situations.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's just really fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, everybody has a way of getting to the same place. I mean, I've trained as an actor as well, and I have done some Meisner, so I understand where you're coming from. But each discipline is different. Now, you've got a great background. I mean, British, South American, Caribbean. It's very interesting. I'm just interested to know when you reflect on that combination. I mean, it's a very fascinating, and it sort of adds something to your acting stuff. So tell us a bit more about that, and where do your attributes, in terms of your background, where do you feel your attributes come from?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, you look like you're on holiday at the moment.
Oh no, this is a virtual background. It's this is what Zoom does, so it's cool. I mean, I wish I wasn't, but no, it's cool.
I should have done that. So both my parents are born in this country, but my mum is Brazilian and West Indian, and my dad is English. Growing up in Essex in the sort of 80s and 90s was not fun. I mean, I was the only non-white person at my school. And I did experience a lot of racism, which is probably why I was, really shy. You couldn't get makeup for your skin tone. I remember my mum and dad trying to get me a haircut, and the lady was like, "Oh no, oh, you don't do that sort of hair." And that was just normal. And you I think you internalize a lot of that because my mum's obviously different to me, my dad's different to me, so there was no one really that understood I felt at the time anyway, understood what I was going through. And then when I went to university, there were so many different people from so many different places, and I loved it, which was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I mean, this is an inspiration to hear, because as I say, the uniqueness is what makes us all very special. I mean, I was the same when I was at school as well, and I think you find your personality, which is good. Now, you worked on Harry Brown with Michael Caine. I mean, wow, that must have been a fantastic. Now, what was it like to work with him? And did he give you any advice and guidance between takes?
Well, I didn't sadly have any scenes with him, but I did share a trailer with him for hair and makeup. And he was the most down-to-earth individual. I mean, at the time it was sort of the biggest actor I'd been around, and go in and you just don't want to rock the boat, so you just sit there, and he was just chatting to everyone. And I think through his behavior I kind of saw that, and I thought, that's how I want to be. I want to be nice to everyone. I want to be easy to work with. There have been jobs I won't name any names, but people go in and they're just, people are on eggshells when they come in and they're running around, but he wasn't like that at all. And that was an inspiration, because I thought, I want to be just like that.
Yeah. Just one bit of general information. If you ever get a chance, read Michael Caine's biography, What's It All About, and From Elephant to Hollywood. These are fantastic and very sincere things and inspirational. So by all means do. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I have met him once or twice, and he's a terrific guy. Now, you've worked across film, theatre, and TV. Now, how do you approach each medium? And where do you feel you thrive? I mean, are all of them equal for you? Do you feel that maybe film's the big thing, or what?
It's a funny one. With theatre, I dread it up until the point when, the curtains go up. I'm so nervous. And then when I do it, I love it, because you get to go on the full character's journey right to the end, the ups and downs. But I love film. I really do. I love doing that work beforehand, analyzing the character, understanding everything, and then going on set and kind of throwing that all out the window and just being in the moment. I mean, I love them both, but I think film a little bit more.
Okay. Now we understand one of your hobbies is photography that you do in your spare
Yes.
time. And I want to ask you, as an actor, this is a general point for everybody who's watching. I mean, how important is it to have alternate focuses and hobbies outside acting? Because obviously, when we're an actor, I mean, there's so much eagerness. I mean, people want the job and they want to get that job to get the best thing in that exposure. I mean, this is what acting's about. But how important are stuff like, how important are like alternate focus and hobbies?
I think particularly when I was younger, my life was just acting. I didn't even like to drink too much on the weekend, or drink because I might be hungover and I might have an audition on Monday. I'd sacrificed holidays, everything. And it's very easy to become so focused on getting the job, and you can put all your worth into that. So for me, doing photography, having something else to kind of build that I have more control over, I found really rewarding and therapeutic. And it kind of gives me something else. So when the phone does ring, I'm, distracted, rather than just sitting by the phone, sort of waiting for it to ring.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and let's talk a little bit. You're talented, terrific. You're obviously in a great momentum now with your career and stuff. So, I mean, are there any dream projects on your radar and characters you'd like to play?
I mean, I was very fortunate with this current film. I mean, the character Ray was phenomenal. I remember the script actually came through, and it was my birthday weekend, and it was probably 6 p.m. on a Friday, and you see it and you think, oh, there's a whole script, and they're like, pick 2 scenes, and I thought, oh, it's just going to be one of those things. So I sort of picked it up and was half-heartedly reading it, and halfway through I was like, this is good, this is really good. So right now I feel really blessed. I've done something I'm really proud of, but thinking beyond that, I mean, I just want to do a variety of things. I would hate, well, I wouldn't hate, but I would rather not be pigeonholed into sort of one typecast. It's fun to play lots of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I can sense that with the way the industry is. Now, my next question, you've touched on this already with your background. I mean, diversity and gender are big issues in the media at the moment. I mean, we're looking at Black Lives Matter, we're talking about the Golden Globes controversy and Weinstein and all this other stuff going on. Now, in terms of your own experiences at the present time where you are in the industry, I mean, where do you feel progress has been made? And where do you feel work needs to be done to help people like yourself, as mixed backgrounds and stuff, develop and become on a level with other people who get maybe other opportunities?
Well, in my experience, I've found, I mean, if you go back even sort of 10, 15 years ago, it was very much, I'd go for auditions and they'd say, well, what are you? And you sort of tell them your background and they'd be like, well, you're not really, they had a very fixed idea. If they wanted someone who wasn't white, they had to look a certain way, or they'd be very specific about a character's ethnicity. And I think recently it's been we've come so far. You know, I'm seeing stuff where if it's not specific a certain race, they're really open to seeing lots of different stuff. I mean, there's still work to go, but I would say in the last sort of couple of years, it's really picked up.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, and let's talk a little bit. What issues and themes would you be keen to explore in the future in your work?
Oh, that's a big question. I think just definitely some of the wrongdoings that's happened in the past. I would definitely describe myself as a feminist, and anything kind of that would champion women's rights or would tell a story about the struggle of women, I would be, would love to have the privilege of telling that story.
Okay. And who and what are your key influences when you think of film theatre? I mean, are there any people you look up to in the industry?
I mean, there's so many wonderful actors and actresses. I wouldn't say I have one specific person that, I just follow, but I always try and look at, if I watch something, can I look at who inspired me? I'll try and look at what I loved about them and see what I can learn.
Okay. And are there any particular actors and filmmakers you'd like to work with in the future?
Oh, gosh. I'll have to come back here on that. I want to think
Oh no,
about that
that's all right.
question.
That's all right. No, that's fine. I mean, the
All of
chances
them.
are, with the way careers go, the chances are you'll probably end up working with something, because this is the wonderful thing. You never know what's around the corner, which is what acting is. So, two final questions before we wrap up. Obviously, we've come through an incredible challenging time with the film and theatre industry, affected by what we've been going through with the global challenges. I mean, how did it affect you? I mean, how did you cope with the fact that theatres were closed and film sets were shut down? I mean, how did you cope?
First thing, I mean, I really worried about my agent. I love my agency. I've known them since I was 15. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, how are they going to survive this? Because actors, we have, a multitude of things, we do on the side for money, but I worried about them first and foremost. And to be honest, there were lots of virtual auditions, which at first I hated, but then once I found you didn't have to spend that time traveling in, you could kind of control the takes. I love it. And I don't want it to go back to castings, where you have to traipse into London and queue up. Like, I can set up my camera, I've got all the lights and everything set up now. So it was difficult at first, but I quite like it now, how it is.
And finally, Gina, let's general question. I mean, what are you most proud of about your career and work at the present time?
I'd have to say my The Sun Also Rises. It was very unexpected, and I just love the journey that Ray goes on. And Roland, the director, I was incredibly fortunate to work with him. He's such a generous and kind director and so good at what he does. And to have him directing me it was amazing. The cast were wonderful. I just can't wait to see it. So I would say, yeah, at the moment, that is my proudest moment.
Well, I think a lot of people will be very proud of you, Gina. I mean, I've had an absolute blast speaking with you about your career and your reflections. And thank you so much for your courage and bravery in sharing some of your early experiences. It's not easy. I think anybody who has been through a bad time at school or in your younger age, I mean, it's not just, it affects everybody. And it's important that people are reminded that. To those of you who have, look at certain people, look at them differently, remember it might be worth getting to know them a bit better and ask them questions and get involved. And that's the most important thing. Gina, thank you so much for your time and insights today.
Thank you.
Support independent filmmakers, support talents like Gina. I mean, Gina, I'm sure you're going to go on to some incredible things in the future, and I can't wait to see what you do next. For more articles, interviews, and reviews, you can read some of my stuff on www.filmandtvnow.com. This interview is going to be uploaded to my own official YouTube channel, John Higgins Film Review, and you can watch it and other interviews, which are currently doing the Paris International Film Festival.
Oh.
where where I've interviewed a lot of things. We did a lot of independent filmmakers. We championed them and diversity and gender, which is great. And thank you again, Gina.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.